Hey everybody, it's Ron Jackson, and welcome to my page, Ron Jackson Music, here on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe right here. And thank you for being here. This is one of my, impromptu workshops where I don't do any editing or anything like that. And we're going to be talking about the melodic minor modes. So I just went through a bunch of melodic minor modes right now. But they were all in the key of C. I basically played the same C melodic minor scale. Oh, a bunch of different ways. I played it on a E flat major 7, sharp 5, a C melodic minor, works on that. I played a A minor 7 flat 5, which is implying a natural 9. And that uses a C melodic minor scale. Also, I used a B7 flat 9 with a flat 13 or sharp 5 they call it, or sharp 9, and then I used a C melodic minor there too. Okay, so basically the melodic minor is very, very important. I mean, for all styles of music, but it's also very important when I play jazz. So when anybody plays jazz, so it's great to know this scale. So, a lot of my students have been asking, why don't you talk about the melodic minor scale? So let's talk about it today. So remember, it's very easy. The C melodic minor scale, or any melodic minor scale, is basically a major scale with a lower third. I mean, that's the easiest way to think of it. So if I'm playing a C major scale, I just lower the third. 1, 2, flat 3 instead of 1, 2, 3. So I'm just going up the scale like that. Okay, you just practice that everywhere, and just learn it in all keys and positions. It's like I always tell all my students and everybody who watches me here on YouTube to learn your melodic minor scale in every key. And if you have to know your major scale first, remember the major scale is the mother of all scales. So we're just going to get right into it. We're going to go through all the modes of the melodic minor today. So in the key of C, of course. So let's start off with the C. The first mode, which is just a C melodic minor scale. Now, we're going to talk also, always it's important since we're trying to play jazz, and a lot of people want to play jazz on my YouTube channel, and we will talk about what chord to use these on. So, on the first mode of the melodic minor, which is just a melodic minor scale, which is this C, D, E flat, G, F, G, A, B, and C. That's all, the C major scale with the flat 3. The first chord is that you would play this on, actually, in that mode, is just a C minor 6 chord or C minor major 7 chord. Of course, you should practice these scales every possible way, and the chord too. All kinds of different voicing. Not particularly from the root all the time either, etc. Okay, the 6th chord too, C6. Okay, so that's the first mode. That's the easy one. And now the second one is kind of a interesting mode. It's the second degree. It's called the Dorian flat 9 scale. So it's basically a Dorian scale. A Dorian scale is 1. So let's say this is actually a D Dorian flat 9 scale in this key. Now you would play that on a D suspended flat 9 chord. Okay, a fancy chord. It's a sus chord. Here's a D. A nice D sus 9 chord. Just lower the 9, which is the E on this chord. So that's D, G, C, and E flat. And lower just one note, that E flat, to make a sus 9 chord. Okay, now the Dorian mode usually is just like in the key of C. Well, actually from D Dorian it's actually D, E, F, G, A, B, C, then D. But we're just going to lower the second degree. So that's why they call it the Dorian flat 9. So we're going to lower the E to E flat. So it sounds like this. So it's a C melodic minor starting on the 2nd degree. And you would play it on that chord. Now that's an interesting chord. Sometimes I see that, I've seen that in a Wayne Shorter song or one of those fancy songs, you know, that he writes. And then, you know, you can just kind of, if you're playing like a dominant 7/9 chord, let's say a D7 flat 9 chord, flat 9 chord, you can make a sus and resolve it. You can make a nice little sus sound into that chord. So that's actually like kind of like an A minor 7 flat 5 to a D7 flat 9 to a G minor chord. Okay, so that's one function of the D sus 9 or the Dorian flat 9 scale. Now the next mode is the 3rd degree. We call that the Lydian augmented scale. So it's basically a Lydian scale. So this is E flat actually, E flat Lydian augmented, the 3rd degree in the key of C. And so that's like an E flat major scale. Look, first you got to know your Lydian scale from the major modes. So major scale is just like a major scale with a raised 4. Here's a regular E flat major scale. So that's E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C, D, and E flat. So remember, to know your modes, you have to know how to change you know, the notes to make the mode special. So if I want to make a major scale into Lydian, I have to raise the 4. So you have to know the scale degrees by numbers. 1 for E flat, F is 2, G is 3, A flat is 4, B flat is 5, C is 6, and D is 7 in this key. Okay, so you have to know that in every key. So we're just going to raise the 4. We're not going to play the A flat. We're going to play the A note to A natural. We're going to raise that up, and then we're going to raise the 5, okay, which is B flat in this key, to B. So that's the Lydian augmented scale, we call that, on this chord. So you would play that on a minor major 7. On a major 7th chord with a sharp 5. Okay, and that's a really cool voicing. Okay. And I use that a lot if I'm taking a solo. I want to make my major 7 chord sound kind of cool. I'll just raise the 5 to play that melodic minor. Okay, that's really cool. Now the next one that's really important in jazz. Okay, so that was the 3rd degree. And the 4th degree of the melodic minor is called, there's a few names for this, is called the Lydian flat 7 chord scale, okay? Or the mixed Lydian sharp 4. Or some people call it the Lydian dominant. So it's basically like a Lydian scale. F. Okay. Now let's play regular F dominant scale. F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E flat, F. So it's basically an F major scale with a flat of 7. Lower the 7 to make a dominant scale, or the mixed Lydian scale they call it. So we just raised the 4 on that. They call it mixed Lydian sharp 4. People call it the Lydian dominant as well, or Lydian flat 7. They're all the same names. You know, some of these scales have different, different names for the same scale. Like the Aeolian could be called the natural minor. There's all kinds of names, you know. So some scales have 2 or 3 names. So this one actually has 3 names. There might be more that I might be missing, but sometimes these scales have more that I don't even know about. So I can't know everything too. So like everybody. So on this particular scale, I can play. I can play this on a chord that has a dominant 7 sharp 11. So in this case, it would be F9 with a sharp 11. You can kind of play like a dominant 7th chord with the lowered 5th. Okay, or they call it a sharp 11 if it's not. The lower 5th would be down here because it's within the chord. Up an octave is called a sharp 11. Okay, so that's the scale I can play over that chord. And that's a great sounding scale. I use that a lot, okay? It's very common in jazz and certain chord functions, especially non-diatonic dominant 7th chords that have no altered tensions. We can talk about that later. But anyway, that's the 4th degree. So the next degree is actually the minor major 7th, the 5th degree with the 5th on the bottom. So it's just like we went up the scale 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the 5th degree is just a C minor major 7 with a 5 in the bass. So it's just basically just an inversion. And if you ever see a minor major 7th with a 5 on the bottom, excuse me, which is in this case a G and the key is C on a C minor major 7th, just play a C melodic minor starting on the 5th degree. If you're going to use this particular scale, okay. So that's cool. So that's the least important one I think of the melodic minor scales. For jazz. The next one's really important. It's actually the 6th degree of melodic minor, and it's called they call it the half diminished scale or the Locrian natural 2. So Locrian's kind of a complicated scale. It's basically the 7th degree of the major scale. So the Locrian scale actually has degrees of 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, flat 5, flat 6, flat 7. Has all the flats in them. So if I play the Locrian scale on an A note, which is the 7th degree, which is the 6th degree in this key, excuse me, okay, it would have like a B flat in it for the 2nd degree, which is actually the 7th degree of B flat major. So this is the key of B flat. The 7th degree is the A Locrian, or the A minor 7 flat 5, where you're going to play this on, okay? Okay, so I just raised the 2nd degree to this. So they call it a Locrian natural 2, or sharp 2, some people call it. And they also call it half diminished, because it's kind of half diminished a little bit, okay? In the intervals, okay, in the beginning. It goes whole. So the diminished scale, whole, half, and actually goes whole, half, and then whole, half again. So it's partially diminished, okay? Like the whole half diminished scale, okay? So this particular scale can be played over an A minor 7 flat 5 with a natural 9 like this, okay? And it's kind of a cool sound, you know. I play like this one. I put the 9 here, but sometimes that's a cool sound. So you can play that scale there. Okay, so that's a really good reharmonization from a minor 7 flat 5 chord. Okay, so that's the half diminished or Locrian sharp 2 or natural 2, I will call it. Okay, and you play it over an A minor 7. In this case, flat 5 with an added 9. Okay, the last one, the last mode is actually the B 7th altered chord that we're going to play this over, and it's the 7th degree of the C melodic minor, and it's called the altered scale, like I just said. So you can play it over a chord like a B7 flat 9, sharp 9, and a flat 13 or sharp 5 or sharp 11. They all work. For example, I'm playing a B7 with a flat 5 and a flat 9 or sharp 9. I mean, there's so many chords. Now, this scale is called the altered scale or the diminished whole tone. Okay? So you can play in all those altered chords, all those fancy chords and all those altered notes. Now, if I named every note, which I didn't do in this exercise, you know, this would have all the altered tensions in them, you know. This is like 1. This is actually called a flat 9. The 3rd, sharp 11, flat 13, then flat 7, and then 1, okay? It has all the altered tensions. And so that's a really cool sounding scale on this in this context, actually, over the altered, okay, or the altered chord, the altered scale, okay. So we call it altered or diminished whole tone, but it's a really great scale. Now, so we just went through all the 7 degrees, 7 modes of the melodic minor. So you have to be able to practice this in all keys, and start learning how to use these on those fancy chords like I just showed you all through this, okay. And then you should know how to change a major scale into these melodic minor modes as well, you know, so you really know each interval really well. Some are easy, some are hard, you know, like the altered, it's kind of hard to do that, you know, unless you play the melodic minor from the 7th degree, which is a shortcut, okay? So there's a lot of shortcuts you could actually use eventually. So, so that's my explanation of the modes of the melodic minor and how to use them. Thank you everybody for watching my video, and if you enjoyed it, please subscribe and also turn on notifications. And if you really love my video, please support me by joining my Patreon and become a patron. That way you can get some cool lessons, some live lessons as well, cool perks, and you're gonna have a great time in watching my videos as well. So please support me there, and I hope to see you on Patreon.